I used to love Power Rangers, enough not to realize the significance of the Pink Ranger being a girl, the Yellow Ranger being Asian, and the Black Ranger being African American. Yeah, I didn't think you did either. Every day, I would sit at my desk, waiting for the final school bell to ring so that I could go home and watch my favorite show. Then I started getting homework, and I started to find the time I had for Power Rangers disappear, instead replaced with homework. Later, I'd enter a phase that's the worst and cringiest for anyone. Middle school. Instead of having work from one class, I now had 6. And the only thing that I learned from there was that 6 was bigger than 1. 8th grade was a milestone for me. I finally got to stay up until 12. Working on homework. Freshman year, I got to stay home alone for the first time. While my parents went to the movies and I stayed at home working on homework, I'm in sophomore year now, and I've made way more friends. If you don't count the fact that they're all from study groups. Growing up, it always seemed as if I was constantly working, and I'm not alone in this. I would always wonder why my father would have to bring the amount of work that he brings home today, until I reached a point where I was doing the same. And we see this all throughout our community. Teachers grading assignments after school, students working on those assignments after school. It seems as if the workday never truly ends. And this is what concerns me. Today, we're working too much, and we never get a break. We'll analyze this problem in 3 steps. First, we'll see how the science of life constructs us to have this impending burden on our shoulders. Next, we'll stay home and analyze our chemistry lab results and see why this problem even exists. And finally, we'll meet up with some friends from physics to figure out a solution on how to lay back and catch a break on the next test. So, what does a break and a date have in common for me? They don't exist. And I'm not the only one with this problem. The not having a break, not the date one. All over the world, people feel as if they're never getting any downtime. They face the continual cycle of moving from one job to another and are working outside of assigned hours. Matthew J. Udland, a doctor of psychiatry and neurology, says that rest is to grow and regenerate, to learn and experience the fullest passion. In other words, to live. In accordance with this definition, we are not living at all. G.E. Miller, who has a strong background in marketing and strategy, says that Americans alone work more than 40 hours within a week. These are only the number of hours spent at the office, not counting the countless hours spent outside. Today, the idea of a break is simply doing more work, just in another location. This is bad because when someone works so much, they have an extreme work ethic, and this leads them to constantly doing work and have no free time. As Katie Dennis, Chief of Research and Strategy, says, if you're doing the same thing day after day after day, you're not going to be the employee who comes up with new ideas. This then decreases overall productivity because people are not able to put their best effort towards something in the end. For instance, in 2017, Americans alone forfeited 200 million vacation days. This led to 66.4 billion lost in the economy, and 236 lost overall with spending and lost benefits. By putting work first, we have taught ourselves that we need to be at the top of everything. As those famous posters on the teachers' walls puts it, Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done. Right now, society is working past when we're tired and placing the completion of our work beyond our own health and welfare. In the study, Project Time Off, sponsored by the U.S. Travel Association, it was found that 52% of Americans don't use all the vacation time that they earn. Analyzing numbers, we see that work has become a necessity, and the end results are getting us nowhere. Now, growing up, I've always followed the wise words passed down in my family for generations. If you want to play and not work, then you want to be slapped. The words were originally from a Bengali nursery rhyme, if you already couldn't tell. The theme of the nursery rhyme was that children should continue to study and work if they wanted to be viewed as successful. Looking around, the same misleading theme can be applied to our society today. The reason why we don't stop working when we're tired, but when we're done. When I was little, I would run around the house avoiding bedtime, yelling, "Why do I need to sleep? It's a waste of time. I could be doing so many other things right now." At that time, other things consisted of watching Power Rangers. But now, sleep seems like good grades. I don't see much of either. Matthew J. Udland says that as humans, we see rest as an organism turned off, activity as an organism turned on. In other words, alive. Society sees rest as a doorway to becoming a low performer at school or work, the one who doesn't do any work and is harassed by the boss or teacher for not doing their work. But apart from an ideological standpoint, we also don't take a break from a practical standpoint. Miller cites that countries such as France and Finland have 20 paid vacation days off. 134 countries have maximum length work hours, meaning they have a set limit on the number of hours that they can work for. We see no incentive in taking a break because we are not given that incentive as these other countries are. But apart from society as a whole, we have ourselves to blame individually as well. How many times have we been found working on the wrong work at the wrong time? For instance, coming to math class working on chemistry homework, or coming to work just to tap away at our phones. What we don't realize is this causes a buildup later, thus forcing us to work more. Looking at the ideals we have taught ourselves, the constraints placed on us, and our own inability to manage time, we see that the idea of a break has been ruined. Now, speaking of ruined time, I hate studying for tests, but I would soon learn a method that would help me save so much more time. Skip and come back. At first, I refused to comply with this method. I was convinced that if I took a break right then, I would lose my attention or learn something wrong. But what I didn't realize is that in doing so, I was enabling my brain to take a break. Thus, when I came back, I had clearer eyes and an even clearer head. Much like me, society does not want to skip and take a break. We're convinced that we'll do something wrong. But what we don't realize is that in doing so, we'll have clearer eyes and an even clearer head. Now, 12-year-old me couldn't understand the benefits of taking a break. But 15-year-old me couldn't understand what was wrong with working on my math homework in chemistry class. And how Green Book won the Oscars. I mean, come on, Wakanda forever. But much like how the movie did win the Oscars, no, still don't get that one. But working on the wrong material at the wrong time led to me feeling overworked, like how many of us feel today. We need to reinforce the idea that we will never truly get a break unless we do work when and where it's due. In a study done by USC and MIT, it was found that rest was indeed not an idleness, nor was it a wasted opportunity for productivity. We paradoxically need breaks to get work done. Looking at this, we can see that putting these two solutions together, doing work at the right time and taking a break when we truly need it, will lead to a society in which we don't feel so overworked. Now, much like me, society is losing the concept of taking a break. From 4-year-old me thinking rest was a waste of time, to 14-year-old me thinking rest was a long-lost friend, society is losing the time and the concept of a break. It's time for us to realize what we are truly losing. And it's not just sleep. It's time for the workday to truly end. It's time for us to lay back and catch a break. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go catch up on some Power Rangers. Thank you.